Hi, I'm Ellen from the Chili Dog, and today I'm going to show you how to do Judy's Magic Cast On for toe-up socks that use short rows to shape the toe. I'm using this cast on to start a pair of free climber socks. Judy's Magic Cast On is a double-sided cast on. It works well for projects that are knit in the round and start with an enclosed end. It's often used for bag bottoms, toe-up sock toes, or top-down hats and mittens. Today I'm going to put a slightly different twist on things by using Judy's Magic Cast On in place of a provisional cast on. I'll be casting on all of the stitches I need to create the circumference of my sock, but in this case my cast on stitches are all going to be here across the top of the toe, not down at the tip of the toe. After I cast on my stitches, I'm going to knit the toe in rows across half of the cast on stitches using short row shaping, while the other half of my cast on stitches are held out of the way and remain unworked until I'm ready to knit the foot of my sock. Let's cast on. Judy's Magic Cast On is worked on 2 needle tips. You could use DPNs, but today I'm going to be demonstrating on a pair of long circular needles. The needle tips are held parallel to each other in your right hand, with the tips pointing to the left. This is the front needle, and this is the back needle. Your yarn is going to be held in the slingshot position, but we're going to set things up a little bit different than normal. The yarn tail is going to be at the back of the slingshot, and the working yarn is at the front of the slingshot. You can tension your yarn over the fingers on your left hand by just running them over, under your fingers, and then wrap your fingers on your left hand around the yarn tail and around the working yarn to create your tension. Your thumb goes down through the center loop so that the working yarn is wrapped around your thumb. As we are casting on, the yarn tail is going to always cast on your stitches on the front needle, and your working yarn loads the stitches onto the back needle. We'll always be wrapping the yarn around our needles counterclockwise with the needle tips at the center of the clock, and we're going to alternate from the back needle to the front needle as we cast on our stitches. So I'm just going to pull the yarn here with my index finger just for a moment. As we get started, we're going to load our first stitch on the back needle with the front yarn, wrapping counterclockwise, and then the front needle with the back yarn, again wrapping counterclockwise. And then we'll continue alternating our stitches. So the back needle gets wrapped with the front yarn, the front needle gets wrapped with the back yarn. And as you're casting on, you kind of develop a rhythm to this because it can be a very fluid motion. When you're done casting on your stitches, you should have the same number of stitches on the back needle as there are on the front needle. And I want to show you one thing before we go any further. You'll notice that here on the right side of our work that we're looking at, the stitches are just kind of crisscrossed around each other here at the middle. If I turn things over so that we can see the wrong side of our work, I'm trying not to drop any stitches while I do that, you can see that on the wrong side we have purl bumps, which is exactly what we would expect for stockinette stitch. So the wrong side has this nice row of purl bumps right here at the center of the cast on. So now back to the right side. If you're knitting in the round, to get started knitting, you would rotate your needles so that they're pointing towards the right. And then you could begin knitting your stitches. So first you would knit across this, what's now the back needle, and then you'd rotate your needles and work across the front needle. Since I'm going to be working a short row toe, which I'll demonstrate in my next video, I'm going to begin the same way by rotating the needles so that they're pointing towards the right. But instead of working in the round, I am going to work back and forth in rows across the stitches that are on my needle. And these stitches that are held on my cord are just going to wait till I'm completely done with the toe and ready to start the foot. Whether you're working in the round or in rows, when you work this first stitch, you'll notice here, this is the yarn tail that is the first stitch. You want to make sure that as you knit that first stitch, that your working yarn comes forward around that yarn tail to hold it in place so that you don't lose that cast on stitch. So I'll just work a couple stitches here just to show you how to get started, whether you're going to work in the round or in rows. So my working yarn was wrapped around that yarn tail, and once the first stitch is knit, whoops, I didn't quite get it there. Once the first stitch is knit, you don't have to worry about losing anything because now that yarn tail is held on in place. So you would just continue knitting either in rows like I'm going to, or you could start working in rounds. I hope you enjoyed learning how to do Judy's Magic Cast On, and if you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Until we stitch again, happy knitting!